Alright, so I got a radiator leak somewhere here on the front of the car. It was just kind of spraying and spewing out right here. Only when the car gets hot and is running, but it was spraying out up underneath that cover and then dripping down and running down the front of the car here, and you see it was spraying back all on the engine and filling that little lip there between the header and the radiator. I was just filling that with radiator fluid. So I'm going to take this cover off here, see if we can figure out where that leak is coming from and figure out what to do with it from there. Alright, so to get this cover off, there's 8 of these tabs that we got to get off. There's 4 up top here, 2, one there in the front, and then 2 in the front on the bottom there and there. So the way to get these out is you just has a Phillips head screw head there, and got to unscrew that. And it's basically a that screw just spreads out a plug, and then you can, when you unscrew it, then that plug can contract and then you can pull it out. So it's just looks like that. Alright, so after taking those 8 lugs out, there is a screw, just one screw right there you need to make sure you take out, and then we should be able to remove this plastic cover. Alright, so after everything's removed, the way to take this cover off is just stick your finger in right here, pull out, and then it just hinges up and then comes off. And as you can see, there is a big old crack right there, and there's multiple hairline cracks right there, and a couple right there, and that's not good. Alright, so I have to change my radiator on this 2005 Hyundai Santa Fe because I tried leak stop, tried an adhesive over it, and I tried just melting the plastic there to try to close the gap, and it keeps cracking open and leaking everywhere. So before you get started, you want to disconnect the battery. I disconnected the negative there. It's a 10mm on mine. Make sure it's not touching the chassis. Alright, so here's the new radiator. It's a Spectra Premium B2389. Got it from AutoZone. There's my receipt. I got radiator and 2 gallons of antifreeze with a bucket. Right there. There's all my stuff. Cost me $178.24. That's using a 10% off coupon and $3 off each of those antifreeze containers. Alright, so I need to take this big plastic cover off down here. So I got the big plastic cover off. Only had to take out 7 screws, but I think there were supposed to be 9. But over the years, mechanics lose them, so it's only 7 now. There's 3 on the side, on each side, and then I think there's supposed to be 3 in the front, but I only had 1. And we used a 12mm. Alright, so I've removed 2 10mm bolts there, and 2 there, and then 3 there that were holding the latch on. Alright, so we gotta remove the bolts for the bottom bumper. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. They're 10mm also. Alright, so the front bumper has these 4 screws that need to come out. 2 there, 2 on the other side. Alright, so got the bolts off for the front bumper. And then under here you can see There's a bolt just right there. And then further up there's a bolt for the oil cooler. There's another bolt up there for the fan to the air conditioner. And way up there there's a couple other bolts just mounted to the frame. Alright, so to get to the oil cooler bolt, you can go straight through the front grill. Alright, so I was able to get to the two bolts behind there out, and the oil cooler bolt loose, and the air conditioner bolt up there loose. And I had to go up underneath right here, pull this back, and then I could get up there to it, but it was not easy. I had to really do some bending. So there's a bolt there, and your oil cooler, and then your air conditioner, condenser, fan bolt, and then the two bolts to that bracket at the very top. And all the bolts for the center bracket were 10mm. Alright, so now I need to clip these wire ties and pull that plug off. And it looks like there's another one here. Just take some needle nose and squeeze that together and push it out, and then that should release the latch cable from the bracket. Alright, now that I know I could actually get that bracket out, I'm going to go ahead and drain it. And there's a drain plug on the bottom. I'll show you on a new one here. Right here, this is the bottom. There's the drain plug right there. It's a big Phillips head. Right next to that big lower line. So that big lower line it's on this side here, and the access for that is up through the frame. And you can see it through there. There's a red plug, and you can get to it from, so there's that red plug, and you can get to it from one of these holes here. So I'm gonna get my screwdriver up there and take the drain plug out and get that radiator fluid out of there. So this is pretty cool to see. The plug is out, but the water is suspended in there because I haven't opened the radiator cap yet. So it's just waiting for that in order to drain out. So I'm going to do that, and it should start draining. Alright, so let's take that radiator cap off. Now I made sure the engine was really cooled down. I took this cap off before I even started doing this. Oh. There it goes. Quite a mess. They put the drain right over a beam, so that's real convenient. That's crazy, the water was just hanging in there. Alright, so now I need to take the radiator fan out. There's an electrical plug there I gotta unplug, and then there's some zip ties. There's one there, and one down there that's zip tied the fan to the hose. And then I gotta take out this bolt, and this bolt, and this hose, and it should come out. I'm gonna do that now. So the two bolts holding the radiator fan on are 10mm, and then there's a couple slots down there that's holding the feet of the radiator fan on. Alright, got the fan out, so now we just need to get this big hose off, this little hose, and this little hose. Just take the clamps off, wiggle them off. Good way to do it is once you take the clamp off, then put your pliers around the hose, and then twist the hose to kind of break the seal around the hose and the fitting, and that'll help make it easier to take it off. So, and when you get these little lines off, bring them up so that they're not draining all the fluid out. Alright, got all my hoses off, and now I just need to take this bolt out, and there's a couple more bolts. There's this one down here, it's right there, it's on a clamp, and same on this side, there's one down there, so I gotta take those out. Down there on that bracket there's a 10mm bolt. These are all 10 millimeters, so I'll take those out now. Alright, and last of all, the overflow pipe, and then I should be able to tilt this radiator forward and then slide it up and out. Alright, the radiator is out. That was a bit of a frustrating process. I wish I could have recorded it for you, but I had to basically lift it up, push it forward, and then there was a pipe that was getting in the way there, and then had to pull it back and lift it up and push it forward. It was fun, but it's out now. Alright, so the rubber feet that were on the bottom of the radiator came out. One's still down in there. Just make sure you get those fished out of there, or if they're still in the radiator, get them off and move them to the new one. And then also the same with the top ones. Make sure they get moved over. And then the clip. There's a clip on the old radiator that holds that on. We'll take that off. Alright, so I got the new and old radiator there. You want to make sure everything looks like it's compatible, new and old, that they're the same, and it looks like it is. And you want to do an inspection to make sure that none of the, it's probably going to have a few bent fins right down there, but you want to make sure that none of the dents go into the waterways. So I actually had to get another one. I had to return the first one I got to AutoZone because it had a dent that went down into the waterway and dented it. And so this is my second one. And then this clip right here, I need to get that off and put it on the new one. Put it over here. Put the top rubber bumpers on, and then the bottom rubber bumpers, I think I'll stick them down in the chassis of the vehicle first, and then set the radiator into them. Alright, so I got it set in there. It came with a bag that had 5 of these square nuts right here, and 2 of them go inside this part, and you have to have it slid out from there so that the square nuts can slide in that way, and then you put a bolt in on this side. There's one there and one there for the radiator fan. So I'm going to do that and put the bolt on for this bracket down here and slide my hoses on. The biggest problem I had was getting that loop out there past this pipe here. Basically had to push it back as hard as I could without smashing any of the fins on this condenser, and then I was able to slide it in. It didn't go in easy because I had to pull up on this whole assembly and kind of get it over the radiator in order to get the radiator to line up with the rubber bumpers down there. So, and we're setting in and we're ready to bolt. I don't know why, but the bolts that go into this here on both sides don't line up, and they won't line up. So I have to leave the bolts out, which kind of irritates me, but we'll figure it out. Alright, got the hoses on, and then the radiator fan, and it's plugged in, and those 2 bolts are on. and the radiator fan's bolted in, and I just need to put this center support back on, which I'm not looking forward to because it was very difficult to take off. But we'll get it done and move on. Alright, so I got the oil cooler bolt installed. I got the fan to the bolt up there. Got the fan to the air conditioner intercooler there. Bolted in. Got these 3 bolts in. Those two, and I left out. Well, let's see. I got the bolt behind this bracket here. You can see it through that window, but it's up under this bracket. Got that one, but I didn't get the one that was on this side because it was just too hard to get. Got one in there, so I'm happy. And I also got this plugged back in, and I was able to leave those zip ties on there, and that went right back in them, so that was nice. Alright, so the guy from AutoZone told me to fill up the radiator, and then start the car, let it run for a little bit, then top it back off, and then go from there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so I got this filled up. I'm not going to put the covers on yet because I want to make sure that there's no leaks before I do, and I topped that off the reservoir. Got the battery put it back on. I'm going to start it, check it for leaks, shut it off, and see if it needs more fluid. So I did have a leak out of the lower radiator hose, and so I had to replace that clamp that you use pliers to get off with one that you can use a screw or a wrench on, because you're able to get these tighter than the ones that you use pliers on. I've also heard that the ones that you use pliers to get off are really only good for one time, so you may end up having to replace them all. Alright, so I ran it for a little bit, and now I'm going to top off the radiator fluid. Alright, so I just need to put these covers back on and put in the bolts and screws for the front bumper, and then we're good to go.